My parents had a friend who was a single mom of a child around my age. Because of that, we obviously got to hang out together on multiple occasions for years on end. When we were around 7 or 8 years old, her mom let her have her first sleepover at my house. Everything was going fine until the sun went down. We wanted to be up extra late, so we snuck out of my room to play some more after my parents went to bed. After a while sneaking around, we decided we wanted to eat some cereal. I was going through a phase where all I wanted was to eat Captain Crunch. Like lots of families, we had our main fridge in our kitchen and another in our basement. At the time, our basement was unfinished. It was huge, almost the size of our whole house, with 3 concrete walls and one that was made up of a huge gray bricks. Our laundry room was in the top right corner, beyond some wooden slate stairs and against the brick wall. The laundry room wasn't actually a laundry room, just a corner with a washer, dryer, and the extra fridge on a square of carpet we laid out so it was softer to stand on than the cold concrete floor when we did our laundry. I was naturally terrified of the basement as a child because the corner underneath our wooden stairs had just a single light bulb hanging freely over the laundry room. The brick wall, which was to the right of the laundry appliances, also had a few bricks missing, exposing the ceiling with all the creepy tubes and pink fluffy insulation. There was a crawl space on the other side of the brick wall, nothing really interesting, and I wasn't tall enough to see over it, but that didn't stop my child brain from imagining stuff on the other side. Obviously, I didn't go down there for my irrational fear of the creepy basement. So of course we opened the main fridge upstairs and realized that we have no milk. My friend insists that she has to have cereal and that we should check the downstairs fridge. Immediately I affirmed that there was no way I was going down there, especially because it was dark, late at night, and it was just the 2 of us. Somehow though, she convinced me and soon we were creeping down the steps. We had turned on the switch, but it was still so dark since the only light was above the laundry corner. This was conveniently behind the staircase we walked down and lighting the way through the gaps in the steps. Once we got down there, I felt braver than ever. I got that childlike urge of adrenaline and thought that I was the toughest kid ever. I think my friend felt the same way because as soon as we turned around and got to the laundry room, we started to size up the room in that wasn't so bad kind of way. I continued to walk towards the fridge on the far left to go get some milk, and she kept standing there. I had just opened the fridge when I heard her start to scream. I turn around, she's standing directly across from me. Her mouth is wide open, her eyes are slightly raised up and shaking, and she's doing what looks like a high knees in place as she's flapping her arms around. Just pure fear. I scream because she is, and we're both up the stairs like darts. As soon as we get to the living room, she throws herself belly down on the floor and starts kicking like a mad woman. My parents came running, of course, and think she's having a seizure on the floor. When they scoop her up, they realize that's not the case. She just starts sobbing. They ask her what's wrong, what's hurt. I'm standing there staring at her with tears streaming down my face. I've never seen someone that terrified in my life to this day, not even in horror movies. They couldn't get any response besides a hysterical, "There was a man with a hat. There was a man with a hat," until she finally calmed down to just crying. Her mom came and picked her up, and my father went searching around the basement for some man with a bat. I got a talking to for staying up past my bedtime, and that was that. I was put back in my room, but I slept with the lights on that night. I didn't see her ever again after that, at least not until years and years later. A couple of years later, after the incident with my childhood best friend when I was 10, my parents had renovated half of the basement. Now there was 2 complete bedrooms to the left of the stairs, opposite from the laundry corner. My bedroom was moved to one of those. I felt super grown up for basically living down where I used to be scared of, and by then I had repressed the shit out of what happened a few years prior. There was one particular night where I was up late on my laptop in my bedroom. At the top of the basement stairs, we had a small half bathroom to the immediate right. I mean very immediate. The bathroom doorway and the basement doorway were almost touching. But anyways, I went upstairs, filled their dog's bowl, and went to the bathroom. As I'm ready to be finished, I turn towards the door and hear my dog's claws fast on the hardwood floors. They get louder and louder until I hear my dog's face plant into the door with this huge thud. This wasn't odd because the dog at the time was a hyperactive boxer mix and would constantly run so fast across the wood that he would start sliding out of control. I see his claws scratching on the floor underneath the crack in the door. That's something he does when he's impatient. So I think he's excited to see me and I open it, but there's nothing there. I get this familiar sinking feeling in my gut. I suddenly remember that our dog was having health issues and we had to have him sleep in the garage at night because he would pee in his sleep. We were due to take him to the vet in the morning, but that night, and the past couple, he had been outdoors while we slept. There's no way it could have been my dog. Looking down to the basement stairs, I saw it. A man stood down at the base of the stairs. I couldn't see a face. He wore a hat, like a fedora of some sort, tipped down to obscure it. He had on a trench coat, and from out the bottom of his two sleeves there was these weird dog-like claws. Just when his head started to move up, I sprinted into my parents' room screaming about the man with the hat. The memories of what happened to my friend resurfaced. I panicked for I don't remember how long. My dad again swept the house, and then I had been calmed down. I slept in the upstairs bedroom with the light on like I had for a couple of years before, and I'm sure they assumed it was nothing but a night terror. It was a few years after that I found my old friend on Facebook. I caught up with her and asked her how things had been. I always figured her mom was pissed that she was so scared of our house, and that's why I never got to see her again. It turned out that she was committed to a mental hospital not long after that night, and that she had been in and out of them since then. She told me about how she was diagnosed with schizophrenia and had been having seizures, visions, and night terrors. I wanted to believe that her mental illness was an excuse for what happened that one night when we were kids, but I saw him myself years later, just as I told you now. And I don't know what that means for me. There's stuff that you can think you see, and then there's stuff that you actually do. I still remember how clearly I had heard the pause, and how I had felt the forced thud of the door through the bathroom tile, and how I clearly saw some obscure man-like creature at the bottom of the stairs. A nightmare or night terror would be plausible if I had been actually sleeping up until that point, but I was wide awake on my laptop just a few minutes before. I guess there's just some things we don't understand. When I was 7, we moved to Fort Myers, Florida, into a neighborhood called Heritage Farms. When my parents were looking at our house before buying with the real estate agent, they split up and explored the home. My dad and the real estate agent viewed what was to be my parents' room, while my mom looked at the back 2-bedroom, which was supposed to be my brother's and mine. My mom said that she should have told my dad from the get-go that she had a very overwhelming, oppressive, heavy, creepy feeling, and ran back to the other bedroom to meet my dad. She said that was her first red flag, something was wrong with that house. Well, my mom never told my dad, and they eventually ended up buying the house. Cut to 6 months ahead, my family is officially moved in. When you walked the hallways of the house, it felt like something was sticking right on your back. After about another 6 months, I eventually told my parents that I could hear people in my closet talking, and I would hear laughing and someone whispering to me. I remember one night I heard the noise of what seemed like cards shuffling and an old saloon piano playing. But the noise seemed to come from very far away, like my closet was a mile long. As you can imagine, this made me want to sleep in my brother's room all the time, and even more so because he was 17 at the time and was always out with his friends or working. I'm not quite sure if any of you are familiar with the Friday night lineup back in the 80s called TGI, where they would have Full House, Family Matters, and I think 2 other shows. My parents would always let me stay up late and watch the whole entire lineup. Needless to say, I was in my brother's room at the time, covered up, but watching the lineup. The very back bedroom was my brother's. Then you had a door to the left of the bathroom, and off to the right was my bedroom that I did not want to sleep in. Lastly, there was an opening to the living room into the kitchen. As I was watching the show, I had this weird, strange desire, feeling, urge, or whatever you want to call it, to crane my head to look out into the hallway. It was approximately 9 p.m. or so, and the house was very dark, except for the hue of my TV. When I craned my neck to look out in the middle of the hallway between the bathroom and my bedroom, there was a tall, blacker than black of night figure with a hat on its head and a round thing in his hand. It did not have red eyes. It did not say anything or make any noise. It just stood there. Then it quietly walked or floated to the left, and I could hear the metal door in my bathroom leading to the patio pool area open and close. That is when I flipped out and screamed. And man, did I scream for my parents. So in an effort to make an already long post just a hair shorter, I explained to my parents what I saw and begged to sleep with them. The sleeping in the room took a toll on my dad, and he got really nasty with me and demanded that I start sleeping in my room. That's when my mom spoke up and said to him that no, he's going to be sleeping with us because I saw the same thing. My mom said she was washing dishes in the daytime when she saw it in the hallway in the back bedrooms. I guess having my mom and dad know that I wasn't lying made it a little easier to still continue sleeping in that back bedroom, so I did. But my dad is a kind of a right here, right now, tangible kind of man. So that goes without saying that he thought my mom and I were both nuts. My mom and I went to Baltimore to see my grandparents, and I guess just to get away. About 3 or 4 days later, I remember my mom got a call from my dad, and he was very, very upset. He said that he wants us to come home soon. He saw it. He saw that dark thing with the hat. He said he was very scared, so we came home about 3 or 4 days later after the phone call. During 3 or 4 days, my dad saw a couple more things. He said that one night he came home from work, made himself something to eat, and turned on the TV in the living room. He decided to look off into the back bedroom and said he saw what looked like many stick figures walking and jumping around. He said it spooked him so much that he slept out on the patio with our dog. It's a really odd thing, but to hear your dad make those kind of claims when, like I said, he's a very real, tangible kind of man, it spooked me to death. We continued experiencing weird things in our house that we couldn't explain. The last time we saw the dark Hatman thing was when my family was watching TV one night. My dad had this pink recliner by the opening of their room's doorway. He loved this thing. We all felt this uneasy, strange feeling come from there, so we all looked over at the same time. That is when we saw something real dark peering up over the top of the recliner watching us. When we made eye contact with it, it took off to the other location of the house. We all were too scared to follow it. When I was around 22 years old, I tried contacting the previous owners of our house. I even wrote a letter explaining everything you know. They never wrote back. What I experienced in that house has always had a profound effect on me. Since leaving that house, I have never seen anything else. I am certain that that thing is still there.